The Monster King versus the universe's seemingly strongest warrior. What would have happened had these two got in a boxing ring and just went all out with no limits to them? Everything at their disposal, just what would have happened if these two threw down? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be doing my best to talk about both characters' strength respectively, and not really trying to have stupid comments in my comment section. If you have a problem with the video, then just join the Discord, which will be linked in my bio, and we can debate about this. But if you're just going to be like, oh, there's no point in debating you because you're so dumb, then just stop talking to me, bro. Okay, but on a serious note, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys actually are willing to hear me out and enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and let me know down in the comment section other versus battles you would like me to do in the near future. Now, for this versus battle, both characters are going to be fighting at their peak. So we are looking at Meteoric Burst Boros versus full-powered Orochi. The reason why is because Armored Boros, or Released Boros even, don't really have any feats. They just scaled to a suppressed Saitama who was beating him up. And we even know during the Boros fight that he really didn't phase Saitama, so no, we are not going to be really scaling Boros to Saitama in any way. Now, me saying Boros doesn't scale Saitama doesn't mean that Boros isn't strong himself. He's still powerful. His attack was stated to destroy the planet's surface, and hell, there's even calcs of that you can argue are planet level, or you can even argue that attack itself is planet level because there are some databook statements. And no, we are not going to be using the star level statement because that seems the most inconsistent, and the most consistent thing I've seen is multi-continental / planet level. And as for speed, he's able to kick Saitama at relativistic speeds, and no, I'm not using him being able to quote-unquote press Saitama as any scaling above any characters, who scales to such a suppressed Saitama that it's kind of hard to quantify how much stronger he would be in comparison to other characters, especially with what I'm going to be going with in this versus battle. So him clashing with the suppressed Saitama and getting an attack off of him, no, it's not really impressive, and we can't really quantify any of the scaling brought to him in his fight with Saitama due to him holding back exponentially, because Saitama didn't use his serious punch just because he had to. He did it just for show. So for any of the people who like to say, oh, Boros has the almost clobbered Saitama statement, or even clobbered Saitama, that shit is so stupid, and you can just interpret that as him just throwing Saitama around, which did no damage. Now, I think you might be able to argue consistently this attack might be multi-continental, specifically because of the fact there's a calc of Saitama's serious punch that was multi-continental, and that attack did neg Boros. Plus, even the manga itself did say the planet's surface. However, just know I do believe Boros can easily be scaled to planet level, but we are just going to be going with the bare minimum, that being multi-continental. You can use whatever scaling you want, however, you'll see why it doesn't really make a difference for this battle. As for hacks / unique abilities, he can kind of fly, I guess. He can shoot blasts, regenerate like crazy, and in his meteoric burst state has shit stamina. Like after a couple of punches, he's going to be winded. If Boros is going to be starting off in his meteoric burst state, he needs to get straight to the point and try and one-shot Orochi. Now, the next character I'm going to be covering is Orochi, who in my opinion is a lot more interesting to cover than Boros, since Boros is just a powerhouse with regen and shit stamina. But Orochi himself actually has some pretty unique abilities. His main ability, that being to copy any ability from his opponent he sees and can further improve upon this. He did this when fighting Garo. He also does have some type of regeneration where he like absorbs blood and just keeps getting stronger and trying to get back from his fight with Saitama, and then ends up absorbing Psychos. So he kind of has regen, but it really doesn't matter because his regen is not even in the same tier as Boros's. But really, other than him being able to utilize the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, I'm going to be getting into his AP and speed scaling, which is pretty concrete as well, similar to Boros's. Now, he's able to absorb a part of Earth's core and essentially blast part of the planet at Saitama. Now, there are two versions of this calc that I want to briefly talk about. One that was made by my friend Godzilla on Discord, who had it at multi-continental, and there is another one that had it at small planet level, which is the one that everybody knows about as of right now. Now, for the small planet one, if we go with this, then you already know, for the scaling that I'm going with, then obviously Orochi is going to be having way higher AP than Boros. However, it is possible for Boros to still have planet level AP. But even if we go with the multi-continental version of this calc is still higher than the calc of Saitama's serious punch that obliterated Boros. So we could say it's possible Boros is just in a smaller range of multi-continental than Saitama and Orochi. And if you want to go with planet level, again, that's fine, but I'm going to go over why that's irrelevant. But before I do that, let me just briefly go over the speed scaling for Orochi. I think we can easily say Orochi has light speed scaling, with him not only being just built as the strongest monster in his base form, which means he upscales above monsters who upscale above people like Awakened Cockroach, such as Goketsu, who says even attacks at the speed of light won't even hit him. Also, he scales above Garo, who even in his earlier stages could keep up with Genos who can dodge light-based attacks. And a feat that he does have against Saitama, even though Saitama still does one-shot him and Orochi really doesn't scale to him, with him being able to briefly contend with Saitama's killer move, Serious Squirt Mode. God, that name is disgusting. But yeah, even if it's just bathwater and, Saitama was trolling, this is still a pretty impressive feat. The reason why is because this Saitama is weeks after the Boros fight. This is important because it's literally been shown in Genos' virtual simulation, or the VGS for short, that Saitama fought a Saitama from yesterday and the Saitama that was after yesterday. So let's say Saitama from Monday fought Saitama from Tuesday. Saitama from Tuesday one-shotted him, which means Saitama's getting so much stronger every day that he's one-shotting himself from the day previously. Meaning that the Saitama that Orochi's briefly contending with is actually way stronger than the one that Boros fought. So even if it's just bathwater, this Saitama low-key could probably one-shot the Saitama that can one-shot the Saitama that can one-shot the Saitama. You guys get the point. That can one-shot the Saitama that fought Boros. And I think this perfectly transitions into the next and final section, that being who wins this battle. And if I didn't make it clear enough, I think Orochi definitely does shit on Boros. Specifically, what makes Boros lose here is definitely the big speed disadvantage he has, because he really doesn't have any good speed scaling besides his, relativistic feat. I'm so serious, bro. The only scaling Boros has is to a Saitama that he barely even phased. So he just doesn't have that much scaling to go off of for speed-wise. Meaning Orochi is a lot faster since I already got him above light speed, and Boros isn't even light speed. He's, relativistic. But let's just say they were comparable in speed. It wouldn't matter because of the multi-continental shit that I mentioned, which isn't even Orochi's best version of his feat, because there's a small planet version. So even if we went with the multi-continental version of Orochi's calc, this is more impressive than the Saitama version of the calc that one-shotted Boros. And yes, even if we gave Boros his star level scaling, it still doesn't debunk the fact that Saitama gets stronger every day, and the fact that Boros just barely phases Saitama anyway. And Orochi being able to briefly clash with a far stronger Saitama would mean bare minimum Orochi definitely has the advantage against Boros and is going to be forcing him to use his full power off the bat. Any way we go about this fight is really bad for Boros, dude. If we go equal stats, it's even worse, man. Orochi got the martial arts and Boros has the shit stamina, but even if we went with the normal stats and the normal conditions, if we gave them relative AP, relative speed, it wouldn't matter. There's still a way for Orochi to be so much stronger than Boros, and Boros really doesn't have that good scaling. There's so many ways you can approach the Orochi scaling, it's honestly great, and Boros' scaling, due to it being very limited, this sadly means Boros does not have defeats to keep up with Orochi, and Orochi is uppercutting Boros' grandma to a futon table.